I'm Jeremy. Today's day 327. 327. I'm reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Let's get started. We are currently on page 654. Oh my god. I sometimes inhabited animals. Snakes, of course, being my preference. But I was a little better off inside of them as a pure spirit. For their bodies were ill-adapted to perform magic, and my possession of them shortened their lives. None of them lasted long. Then, 4 years ago, the means of my return seemed assured. A wizard, young and foolish and gullible, wandered across my path in the forest I had made my home. Oh, he seemed the very chance I have been dreaming of, for he was a teacher at Dumbledore's school. He was easy to bend to my will. He brought me back to this country, and after a while I took possession of his body. To supervise him closely as he carried out my orders. But my plan failed. I did not manage to steal the Sorcerer's Stone. I was not assured immortal life. I was thwarted, once again, by Harry Potter. Silence once more. Nothing was stirring, not even the leaves on the yew tree. The Death Eaters were quite motionless, the glittering eyes in their masks fixed upon Voldemort and upon Harry. The servant died when I left his body, and I was left as weak as ever I had been, Voldemort continued. I returned to my hiding place far away, and I will not pretend to you that I didn't then fear I might never regain my powers. Yes, that was perhaps my darkest hour. I could not hope that I would be sent another wizard to possess, and I had given up hope. Now that any of my Death Eaters cared of what had become of me. One or two of the masked wizards in this circle moved uncomfortably, but Voldemort took no notice. And then, not even a year ago, when I had almost abandoned hope, it happened at last. A servant returned to me. Wormtail here, who had faked his own death to escape justice, was driven out of hiding by those he had once counted friends, and decided to return to his master. He sought me in the country where it had been long rumored I was hiding, helped, of course, by the rats he met along the way. Wormtail has a curious affinity with rats. Do you not, Wormtail? His filthy little friends told him there was a place deep in an Albanian forest that they avoided, where animals like themselves had met their deaths by a dark shadow that possessed them. But his journey back to me was not smooth, was it, Wormtail? For one night, on the edge of the forest where he had hoped to find me, he foolishly stopped at an inn for some food. And who should he meet there but one Bertha Jorkins, a witch from the Ministry of Magic. Now see the way that fate favors Lord Voldemort. This might have been the end of Wormtail and my last hope for regeneration, but Wormtail, displaying a presence of mind I would never have expected for him, convinced Bertha Jorkins to accompany him on a nighttime stroll. He overpowered her. He brought her to me. And Bertha Jorkins, who might have ruined all, proved instead to be a gift beyond my wildest dreams. For, with a little persuasion, she became a veritable mine of information. She told me that the Triwizard Tournament would be played at Hogwarts this year. She told me that she knew of a faithful Death Eater who would be only too willing to help me, if I could only contact him. She told me many things, but the means I used to break the memory charm upon her were powerful. And when I had extracted all useful information for her, her mind and body were both damaged beyond repair. She had now served her purpose. I could not possess her. I disposed of her. Voldemort smiled his terrible smile, his red eyes blank and pitiless. Wormtail's body, of course, was ill-adapted for possession, as all assumed him dead, and would attract far too much attention if noticed. However, he was the able-bodied servant I needed, and poor wizard though he is, Wormtail was able to follow the instructions I gave him, which would return me to a rudimentary, weak body of my own. a body I would be able to inhabit while awaiting the essential ingredients for true rebirth. A spell or two of my own invention, a little help from my dear Nagini. Voldemort's red eyes fell upon the continually circling snake. A potion concocted from unicorn blood and the snake venom Nagini provided. I was soon returned to an almost human form and strong enough to travel. There was no hope of stealing the Sorcerer's Stone anymore, for I knew that Dumbledore would have seen to that and it was destroyed. But I was willing to embrace mortal life again before chasing immortality. I set my sights lower. I was settled for my old body back again, and my old strength. I knew that to achieve this, it is an old piece of dark magic. The potion that revived me tonight, I would need 3 powerful ingredients. One of them was already at hand. Was it not, Wormtail? Flesh given by a servant. My father's bone, naturally, meant that we would have to come here where he was buried. The blood of a foe. Wormtail would have had me use any wizards. Would you not, Wormtail? Any wizard who hated me, as so many of them still do. But I knew what I must use, if I was to rise again, more powerful than I had been when I had fallen. I wanted Harry Potter's blood. I wanted the blood of the one who had stripped me of my power 13 years ago. For the lingering protection his mother once gave him would then reside in my veins too. But how to get at Harry Potter? For he has been better protected than I think even he knows. Protected in ways devised by Dumbledore long ago. When it fell to him to arrange the boy's future, Dumbledore invoked an ancient magic to ensure the boy's protection as long as he is in his relation's care. Not even I can touch him there. Then, of course, there was a Quidditch World Cup. I thought his protection might be weaker there, away from his relations and Dumbledore. But I was not yet strong enough to attempt kidnap in the midst of a horde of Ministry wizards. And then the boy will return to Hogwarts, where he is under the crooked nose of that muggle-loving fool from morning until night. So how could I take him? Why, by using Bertha Jorkin's information, of course. Use my one faithful Death Eater, stationed at Hogwarts, to ensure the boy's name was entered into the Goblet of Fire. Use my Death Eater to ensure the boy won the tournament. That he touched the Triwizard Cup first, the cup which my Death Eater had turned into a port key, which would bring him here, beyond the reach of Dumbledore's help and protection, into my waiting arms. And here he is, the boy you all believed had been my downfall. Voldemort moved slowly forward and turned to face Harry. He raised his wand. Crucio! It was pain beyond anything Harry had ever experienced. His very bones were on fire. His head was surely splitting along his scar. His eyes were rolling madly in his head. He wanted it to end, to black out, to die. And then it was gone. He was hanging limply in the ropes binding him to the headstone of Voldemort's father, looking up into those bright red eyes through a kind of mist. The night was ringing with the sound of Death Eater's laughter. You could see, I think, how foolish it was to suppose that this boy could have been stronger than me, said Voldemort. I want there to be no mistake in anybody's mind. Harry Potter escaped me by a lucky chance, and I am now going to prove my power by killing him. Here and now, in front of you all. When there is no Dumbledore to help him, and no mother to die for him, I will give him his chance. He will be allowed to fight, and you will be left in no doubt which of us is stronger. Just a little longer, Nagini, he whispered, and the snake glided away through the grass to where the Death Eater stood watching. Now untie him, Wormtail, and give him back his wand. Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. Bye. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to read page 659. Bookmark close. Peace out.